Hi everybody. Just wait for some people to hop on and we'll make a little start. Just going to clean off my stamps from last night while people join because I've been really lazy. Okay, I'm just going to clean my stamps. Yeah, it is. Oh, my other light's not on. Let's put that on. It might not be so dark. Gina's put cute hair. Oh yeah, I had it all cut at the weekend before we went back into lockdown. So this is much more me. I feel much less like a scarecrow. So I'm just going to clean off my stamps. Thanks, Bev. That's very kind. Been out delivering Christmas cards this evening and seeing some lights, which has been really lovely actually. There's some really amazing houses around. The girls loved it as well, so a little sing in the car. It's been fab. Okay. Oh, I've missed one. Oopsie. Right, girls and boys. Let's make a little start, shall we? Hi to everyone who's joined. Unusual for me to be live on a Monday evening, but it's Christmas. Anything goes at Christmas. So I wasn't live this morning. I actually had a local food shop slot. I managed to get in and out relatively easily from our local shopping centre. Got everything I need, so now I don't need to go out, which is lovely. So that's why I wasn't here this morning. So I thought I'd treat you all to an evening slot. I know you like, you prefer the evening sessions anyway. So this is my last live for before Christmas. I'm actually going to take some time off, which is unheard of this year. I will miss you all, and I probably will say to you at one point, should I do live? Between now and Christmas, who knows, depends how well behaved the girls are. I'll next be live. My plan to be live again is not until the 30th of December, which feels like forever away, but it really isn't, is it? So yeah, hope you all have a very Merry Christmas. You stay safe, you can see loved ones almost, albeit virtually, and yeah, I look forward to catching up with you soon. So before I disappear, let's do a little bit of crafting. So last night I introduced you to the Pretty Perennials stamp set. Tonight I'm going to use the same stamp set but with the dies, and I haven't used them yet, so we're going to use them together for the first time. So we'll see what happens. It could be good, could be a disaster, but I've got a hot cup of tea, so it won't be too bad, will it? And we're all in it together. So let's get started. I'm going to pause the video, switch my screen around so you can see my lovely, tidy, messy desk, and we'll get started. So bear with me, guys. Hope you're sitting comfortably. Okay, so you should now be able to see my desk. I'm just going to move some things out of the way. Oh, it's like dominoes tonight. Okay, so these are the cards we put together last night, or I put together while you guys sat and watched. So this is using the Pretty Perennials stamp set. It's new in the January to June mini catalogue, and it's really lovely. There's so many beautiful images there. Some of them are singular images, some you build up in a two-step fashion, and then you've got these gorgeous sentiments here. Really, really like this set. Good for any occasion actually. And you can easily make your own DSP with it, which is kind of where we went last night. So I cut my card bases individually. I cut my pieces for the tops of my cards individually. And I stamped my sentiment first, and then I built up my flowers around the sentiment. And I chose to use real bright colours last night. So we've got, this is my little colour palette from last night. We've got Pumpkin Pie, Granny Apple Green, Magenta Madness, Highland Heather, Daffodil Delight and Coastal Cabana. So a real eclectic mix of colours. Tonight I'm going to show you something a little bit different. We're going to go in a different direction, and we're going to use the lovely subtle colour palette. So tonight I've got So Saffron, Balmy Blue, Soft Seafoam, Blushing Bride and Petal Pink. So a real different selection of colours, just to show you how versatile this set is. And I have a complete blank desk, so I have no idea where I'm going with this card yet. But I am going to focus the card around the die, so I want to show you how this bundle really works well together. So these are the dies, these are the Perennial Petals dies, and you can add them into your, add them on when you buy the stamp set, and you save 10% when you purchase them together as part of the bundle. So these dies, you have some lovely edge dies which go around the images. You have some really nice detailed dies, and then you've got some extra bits as well. So a little tip, before I've moved any of the dies off of my card that they come on, I've actually drawn around them so that I know where to put them back. And then at a quick glance I can tell, yeah, they're all there. So a little bit of a tip from me. So let's get cracking. And I think I'm going to go with 2 cards tonight. Push the boat out, why don't I? And I'm going to start with, let's see what white cardstock I've got here. I'm waiting for a top up on Whisper White cards to come tomorrow. So all I've got left at the moment is thick. Oh no, I haven't. I've got some behind me. It's Christmas. Okay. So let's go with some white cardstock. I'm just going to move this up a little bit. So I'm going to cut a couple of card bases, not card bases, some layers for the tops of my cards. And I'm going to go with 9.5 centimetres by 13.9. So what that will be is that will be exactly 1 centimetre smaller than the card base that I'll cut next. Okay, so I've got 2 card bases, 2 card fronts there. And then card base wise, let's go with, let's see what cardstock I've got here. My cardstock's all organised in drawers next to me. So let's go with, what have I got lots of? Let's go, I was hoping for some soft seafoam. Yeah, there is some soft seafoam there, let's have some of that. So let's do soft seafoam. So for our card bases, I'm going to make 2 out of 1 piece. I'm going to line it up at 10.5, and I'm going to score all the way down, and then turn, line it up at 14.9, and then cut. That will then give us 2 card bases. Okay. So let's just make sure they are nice and crisp. Edges on that one, and then 2. Okay, we can put those almost to one side. Oh, what have I done? That one works, this one doesn't. Why is that card base so different? I think I'd already snipped a bit off my card base, off my piece of A4 before I started. I've got a dodgy one. It might be one of those evenings, guys. Let's just cut another one. 14.9, 10, and then score at 10.5. Okay, that's better. That looks better. And then I need some scrap Whisper White cardstock. I'm just going to turn my heating off as well, because it is warm in here now. Don't need my scarf on, that's for sure. Okay, so we're going to stamp some images. So I'm going to start with this large image, and I'm going to stamp that large image in, let's go with Petal Pink. I quite like Petal Pink. Now the joy of this stamp is that it's photopolymer, so I do prefer a photopolymer stamp, but I always would encourage you to use a stamping mat underneath when you stamp, which just gives you a little bit of softness to push against when you stamp. It just helps you get a really clear image, and this is a distinctive stamp, which means there's texture built into the image. Okay, now I actually really like Petal Pink and Soft Seafoam together. I think they're lovely, lovely colours. So there we have those two. We'll have some leaves. Now the leaves, you have two images. You have an outline and then you have an infill. So I'm going to start with the outline. There, and that's a really light green colour. It's really lovely. Stamp a couple of those. Let's have 3 of those. And then for my centre, just to fill that in, I'm going to ink up my stamp onto my grid paper, and then stamp over the image. I mean, it's a really light colour, so you can't tell massively, but it just fills in that white space with that lovely soft seafoam colour. Okay, so 3 lovely little leaves. And then our next flowers, let's move on to the next one. Let's go with some So Saffron, and we'll go with this big flower, shall we? It's not even a big flower, is it? It's a small one in comparison. We'll have 3 of those. And then let's just refer to the dies. Where are the dies? The dies are here. So we have this one here that goes around that one. We have this one here that goes around that one. We have the leaf that goes around there. And then we have this one, which I assume goes around that one. It does. So let's stamp that one in. Let's go for Blushing Bride. Now this is quite a new Blushing Bride ink pad, so it looks quite grubby. But once it dries, it should dry quite nice. Okay. And then for our little berries, let's have this one here, which is the stem. I'm going to stamp that in grey. Grey's always a nice friend to the subtles. Like so, this is Smoky Slate, so a real light grey. So this one, you'll notice that it's got some pieces missing. So we'll stamp one there, and we'll stamp one there. Now what we have is the berries that then sit on top of that. And I'm going to stamp those in blue because, do you know what, why not? So what we do is we line up, I'll bring it down a bit so you can see. We're going to line up those berries with the tips of our grey stamping, so you get something that looks like that. Like so. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add our dies all to the top of this. So we're going to need to run this through our die machine twice. Turn it until we can find how it lines up. That's it. And to secure that in place, I'm going to use a little bit of washi tape. Let's just move that back out now. Do love a bit of washi tape. I stocked up in the clearance sale last week, so I have some lovely washi tape to keep me going. I have this little one here. And there is a right way and a wrong way to these dies. I would love to say to you, here's one I made earlier, but I'm not going to say that today. So this is our, so the berries actually cut out separately. Okay. So the berries need to be stamped individually and then cut out. So it's all things like this that you learn when you start playing with a new set. Okay. Hope you're all still hanging in there. So I'm now just going to stamp those berries again. We'll have one, and we'll have two. Okay, so like so. I think this is one of those sets that is great for any type of crafter because you don't necessarily need the dies, but if you like kind of detailed looks, then the dies are a great add-on. Right, let's move some of these bits out. I'm going to bring my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine in. I'm using the big one tonight because my piece of card is, I've done my stamping on, is quite wide. But the small one, the mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss, would be perfect for something like this. And this is really handy because the handle is on the other side of the desk. So we'll just wheel that through. Get that out the way. And then now we can just lift out our pieces. So there we have our berries. We have our small flowers, we have our yellow flowers, and we have our large flowers and our leaves. So we'll just run that through again. If I was on the telly, they'd break for an advert right now. Oops. Pop this one on. There we have it, I think. Yeah, that's there. Let's have our small one down here. And then our berries, oh, we've got one little flower here. I think it would be a good idea to do lots of these in lots of different colours, and then you can just use them as toppers and accents on your projects when you need them. Just going to cut that bit off there because it's now too long for our sheet. That's better. So let's just pop these in. I won't bring the big shot back in. Big shot, I'm not going to have to call it that. The Stampin' Cut and Emboss. Just use that on my trolley behind. Over there. Little accent flowers, and then I've got one leaf left to cut out, and I'm going to use all of these flowers on both my cards, so you'll get to see what I'm going to do on two different card designs. We'll have that one. We'll have a leaf Should have said go and have a cup of tea, boil the kettle, come back in 10 minutes and we'll be ready to go. That's it. Okay. Pop out our flowers. Oh, that didn't cut very well, did it? That must have slipped. Right, so we'll pop those to one side. Now I want to cut out some of these accent pieces. I'm going to cut these all out from Whisper White. Pop all those over there. Do love this big leaf. So, pop on our plate and we'll just run that through. So these are the pieces that are different to the stamp set. So you've got a detailed flower that looks like so, and that is designed to go like so. Okay, so that's the same shape but just a different style. The same with this white one here. This is designed to go on like so. And then you have this beautiful leaf. I love this leaf die. It's so pretty. Just get rid of all those pieces. How lovely is that leaf? Really, really like that. And then we've got this little stem which is designed for our berries. And then we have a really cute single leaf like so. Okay, now all of those have been cut in white, and I'm going to show you a really fun or a really simple way of adding colour to those. So rather than using lots of different pieces of card, we're going to add our colour now. Okay, so I'm going to use my daubers, my sponge daubers. I'm going to have a little slurp of my tea. Okay, and I actually have a dauber for every colour apart from the in colours here. So to add the colour to this, I'm going to take my piece, and this, where's my So Saffron one? There he is. Take my So Saffron, these just fit on the end of your finger, add some ink from the ink pad, and then just go over like so. And there you have what was yellow, what was white is now yellow, and that just sits on the top like so. So to add that on, I'm going to take my mini glue dots, pop those off, and add that in there like so. Okay, let me know what you think. Is that something that you like, don't like? If you'd rather just stick with images. So we want Blushing Bride, which is here. Oh no, so Blushing Bride is the small one, isn't it? So we want Petal Pink for that, which is next door. There he is. Again, just add some ink and then dab on to change that from white to the colour of your choice. So you could always use the coloured cardstock, you would get a different tone of colour, or if you don't have all the different colours, you could always do something like this. Okay, and then that one just sits on like so. Okay, now with that one I'm going to just die cut one other piece which I thought I had taken off. I did take it off, but it's not here. This is what happens, I get excited with my dies. Don't even think I've cut it out. No, it will turn up. Where's my piece? How could I have lost a die already? It's not on there. Let me just have a little look. Right, so this one here that I'm looking for, let's put these back on. So that one goes in there, that one there, that one down there. I will watch this video back and find out what I've done with it. There. What would I have done with that? Oh, there he is. There he is. That's what I wanted. That one indeed there. Just going to run this one through. Told you it was going to be one of those sessions tonight, didn't I? So let's put my die on there so I don't lose it, and let's just pop this little one off of here. So this one now will actually go underneath like so, but after all that I'm going to leave it off. That one goes there. So again, all we're going to do is we're going to add a glue dot, which is here, and get that stuck in the centre like so. So we now have two flowers that have got a lot of texture on them, and I'm going to use these frosted dots for the centre. Okay, so I'm just going to pop one in the centre there and a large one. These are in two different sizes in the centre like so. So two really sweet little flowers. We've got some more there as well. So in the stamp set we have some little dots like so. I'm going to stamp those little dots in there, and I'm going to stamp those in grey, because why not? Like so, one, and then two, and then on this one let's have this large piece here. Like so. So you've got a real lovely different selection of flowers. I do think the options of how to create these flowers is endless with this set, because there's so many little extra pieces to use, so many different ways to change the look. Okay, and then we've got this lovely leaf. So let's start looking at our card card now. So this is the first card we're going to make. And I have a piece of Whisper White, which I think I'm going to emboss just to give a little bit of extra texture. Which one shall I use? Let's use this new one. So this is the new one. I'm not even sure what it's called, but it's part of the Floral Art suite, and it's a 3D one, so it gives a really fab embossed look. So I'm just going to run that through my machine behind me. Bring this in and I'll show you what this looks like. This is really lovely. So when you open it up, look at the texture on that piece of card. It's so pretty. Look at that. I really, really like that. And that just changes the look on that card completely. So let's stick that down. Oh, not again. Here, it's coming out now. We'll just pop that on like so, and then we can start layering our flowers on. Now with these flowers, pop them in the palm of your hand, push down in the centre, and that just shapes them ever so slightly, so that when you pop them on your card you get a little bit more dimension. So that is our leaf there, which I definitely think needs to be a different colour. So I'm going to use Smoky Slate. Some colour to that leaf. So again, just taking my dauber and dabbing the colour all over to just change. And if you did use cardstock, that would look lovely, but I like the different tones that you get when you do this technique. You get lots of different tones of that grey colour, and now that leaf will really stand out on that card. So to stick this on, I'm actually going to use a glue dot because I don't want to stick too much of it to the card. I want it to be quite free. So let's pop that up there, and then we can start to build our flowers around. So we'll have one there, and again just pop in the palm of your hand and just push down. Let's move that down a little bit. Pop him there, that's better. Again, glue dots are really handy for things like this, and then we can add in some of these little flowers. Now with these you can also use the nib, because we've not got that gem in the middle, you can also use the nib of your tombow. Like so. You can add in some different leaves if you want to, or you can use these die cut pieces to just change that colour again. I'm going to pop that in there, and just using the little tip of a glue dot again. Okay, so that's starting to look like a card. Let me know what you think. Okay, you can always add in a few more if you wanted, or you can just, I actually think that is enough on there. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we want to add a sentiment. I'm going to do a bit of heat embossing with this. I'm just going to grab some black cardstock. Bear with me. Do I want black? No, black is too much. Let's use the grey. Some scrap of grey. And we're going to stamp the word happy. Is this piece of card big enough? No. Always keep your scraps because you never know when they will come in handy. So now we're going to use our embossing buddy to just work across the card. It takes away any of the static that's built up on that card, and we're going to stamp with a Versamark ink pad, which is just a sticky ink pad, like so. And then we want to add it to our Whisper White cardstock, like so. And then we can heat with our heat tool. So you can see that's really quite soft. And then we're going to turn that a real nice bright shade of white just by heating it. And you'll see that start to go in a moment. There we go. So you can see that starting to change. Okay, there we have it. Like so. It's a lovely happy, which I'm going to fussy cut that out now. Just going to follow the edge around, leaving a little border of the grey. I really like this font, and I think this little sentiment is what sold it to me. Just follow that all the way round. So, nearly there. Just holding my scissors really firm and just turning the paper. Okay. So this is now starting to come together. I'm going to pop that on there with some pads. I'm going to use, oops, just pulled the, oops, pad stuck now. Like so. And I'm just going to pop a little bit of wet glue over on this Y. Take off our backs. And then just stick that down like so. Just hold it in place for a couple of seconds. Okay, so we've got happy. And then for our next sentiment, what one have I got here? Sending lots of. Let's have that. So now using some scrap of Whisper White, which I have next to me luckily, I'm going to stamp that in grey. Or do we have that on? What's the piece of grey I just see what it looks like this. It's always good to have a little try, see what you think. This is a great punch to use with the sentiments in this set. Now let's see what we like, if we like it in the white. If you don't have this punch, you could just trim into a little strip. So sending lots of, I like the white. Let's use the white. So I'm just going to trim off those little banner ends so we have straight lines. And then we can stick that down also with some dimensionals. Okay, so there we have our finished card to start with, our first card of the evening. That took a long time because of cutting out the flowers, but let me know what you think, if you think that's a nice card, if there's things you'd change, if there's things that you would do differently. It's always nice to have a little debrief after. I'll just pop some things away. Move some things around. Have a little clear down before we start card number 2. Okay, so I have these pieces left over, which actually I'm not going to use right now. Pop all them to one side. So card number 2, I have the same size piece of Whisper White, which is here. Okay, now I'm going to do some stamping on that, and I'm going to stamp in grey. Let's just clear the decks. And I'm going to use this big guy here. So I'm going to give a little bit of a clean with my stamp scrub. For some reason I can't see any comments this evening. Oh, there they are. Hi everyone, sorry, for some reason comments weren't showing. Oh, there's lots of you chatting away. Sorry about that, guys. Oh, my auntie's watching. Hello, auntie. Hope you're okay. Right, so I've got this big guy here, and I want to bring my stamp pad back in. And this time I'm going to put the stamp pad underneath my grid paper because I'm going to stamp off the edges. So let's just pop that one to one side. I'll pop him over there. And I'm going to stamp these flowers all over at random. We'll have that one down. Oh, because there's something stuck on my ink pad, that's why. Come on. That's it, it's off. Okay. Like so. Now I just want to leave that to dry for a second. I'm just going to dry that quickly with a heat tool just to take any dampness out of that ink. Okay, that feels good. So then now I am going to use my embossing buddy on the bottom part of this card. Just run that across. And then I'm going to use this big guy here to stamp in the centre. Be quite firm with this stamping. Okay, and now instead of white ink, white embossing powder, I'm going to use silver just to add a bit of shimmer to this card. So let's just pop that in. And then at the bottom, tap off the excess. If you've got one to hand, just use a little paintbrush, which I don't have to hand. I've got one behind me. Just use a little paintbrush to get rid of any excess that you've got. Okay, give it a little tap so you can see that's quite dark there. And then when we use our heat tool to set that, you'll see that will turn a lovely shiny silver. There it goes. Which is a completely different look for this card, or for this set. Like so. You can see that like that. So that's got a little bit of a shine out, and now we can do the other end of our card. Oh, where's the stamp? There it is. So 1, 2, and then 3. And then add our of the embossing powder. So the embossing powder comes in really small tubs, and I find I get in such a mess with it, which is why I just pop it in a big pot like that, and then we'll heat those like so. Okay, lovely. So let me know what you think about that. This is our card base. So I think the green looks quite nice with the silver. So I'm going to stick that down. Like so. And then this little fella here has got a bit of a dodgy stamp look, so I'm just going to grab a die. Let's use the stitched So Sweetly ones. Now I wonder if we can get that happy on there. I think we can. Down there like so. So let's cut that out of Whisper White. Just using my whoops. They're on the floor now. Use my cutting machine behind me to cut this out. Here we go. So that's now covered up. Okay, but before we stick that down, let's stamp our happy on there. And let's stamp that in the green. That's it, push down nice and firmly, like so. And then we've got here our little sentiment that we stamped earlier. So for those of you that thought, oh, that was a waste, I've gone back to it. Sending lots of happy. We'll pop this on some pads, which I have here. I'm going to use the edges because there's no waste. And then our dodgy stamping is gone. Like so. Pop that down. Flat. That's quite a good die for that one actually. So we have it like that. So I think it just needs something a little extra on to finish it off. So let's, should we have one of those on there? That would be nice, wouldn't it? Let's do that in some vellum. Let's see what I've got. I may not have any vellum. I'm waiting for a very large order of things. So let's pop that on there. Like so, vellum is a great addition to use on your cards. It just gives a different texture. It's great for muting your colours as well, which I know some of you saw me do last week. Okay. So here is that leaf cut from vellum, so it's really delicate. And that's just, that goes quite nicely on there, or if you wanted to you could have it over the top, but I think I'm just going to stick that in under. So when we pop that down, let's pop it on with a glue dot. Like so. And then there we have a little blingy version of that card, or not blingy but shimmery version with that embossing powder. So that's two very different looks and very, very different from this one that we did last night. Okay, so I've still got a couple of bits left over, which what I will do is I will put in my little die cut pot to use on other cards at a later date. And that's it from me tonight, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Bit of a long one tonight, nearly an hour. So this is my last live or before Christmas, my planned live anyway. If I have time, there may be another one before the 30th, but I don't want to guarantee that. Just going to see what happens over Christmas. So I hope you'll have a lovely, lovely Christmas celebration. If you can spend it with family, I do hope that you soak up every second, be it virtually or if you're allowed face to face. Enjoy every moment. I myself will be here with my girls and my husband. I've bought far too much food, far too much alcohol, so I'll need the number for Slimming World in the new year, Bev, please. And that's it, guys. If you have any questions about the products or techniques I've used tonight, feel free to drop me a message. I'll still be available to answer your questions. Keep an eye out for my next card class that's launching with these products. That'll be available from January, and that's my pre-recorded class as well, so you can watch that on YouTube at your leisure. And that's it, guys. So wishing you all a very Merry Christmas, and I hope to speak to you all very, very soon. Lots of love. Bye for now.